나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교. So which Buddha is the true Buddha? What does that mean? Why is the Lotus Sutra so significant in all of the teachings of Shakyamuni? To understand this is to understand the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Insert image here. You can download this image, this chart, from threefoldlotus.com. Go to the core study materials link on the first page, and you will see two links there. One says 3,000 realms, one says single thought moment. They both lead to the same document, because depending on where your stage in learning and practicing Lotus Sutra Buddhism is, Nichiren's doctrine is, you will come to it from different angles. At any rate, it is really important that you study this chart in the light of understanding each one of the concepts listed on it. Don't just look at it and go, there's the chart, that's how the numbers add up. Really delve into, and this is why, and it's by no, I mean, this chart could have taken 50 pages. Because if you go into each one of those, like the realms in the 10 realms, the 10 worlds, and each one of those realms, study them, understand what they mean, and then combine them one in another in the 100 realms. That's why they're all stacked there, and all their various combinations. That could be an endless study right there. Because though it says 100 realms, because of the simple math of their interpenetration, their interpenetration isn't just the hell of animality or the hunger of Buddhahood or so on and so forth. It's 3,000 combinations of those. It's the hell of animality, of Buddhahood, of Bodhisattva, of hell, or a hunger, of on and on and on. Just, it's huge. Then you start to open your mind to the idea that this flow of energy is just so immense. There's no way that with our superficial human mind, we can grasp all of that in a single moment. And we're just getting started, because then we have the realm of living beings and the realm of, right? The 3 realms of existence. And then you sneak in there and you put in the 10 aspects to each and every one of those combinations. The appearance, the momentum, right? Karmic momentum, the karmic result for each and every one of those particular things. That's how we arrive at 3,000, but that 3,000 really represents, you can't count it, the sands of the Ganges number. It's a tool for understanding the difference between achieving something as a samsaric identity, right? Like a high school diploma or associate's degree or a more evolved, a more advanced degree, a master's degree, a PhD, so on and so forth. But all of those degrees of learning and understanding, Sarvaka, Pratyeka, yeah, they still are self-referring. They recognize an accomplishment of the self, of the identified self. And this is the very thing we're trying to transcend. But that doesn't appear in the teachings until the 16th chapter of the Lotus Sutra. It's invited in the 15th, and in the 16th is where Shakyamuni finally, and I'm going to decipher the language here a little bit because I understand these translations, they're confoundingly misleading. So let's take it slow. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your participation. And mostly I appreciate your practice. How amazing are you? So thank you for sharing that in our Sangha here. Yeah. Patrons, help keep this apparatus going. You guys are beyond amazing. Please like and subscribe so we can get this Sangha, this teaching, this resource, the website, the bookstore, the mandala store, all of it in the hands of more people. We need a Buddhist revolution. The world is in dire, dire straits. There's a lot of beauty and awesomeness in the world, don't get me wrong. But that doesn't make ratings, that doesn't make news, that doesn't make clicks. And social media, regular media, all of the noise that comes into our eyes and ears day after day, hour after hour, it's overwhelmingly negative, horrible. The things humans can do to one another is unbelievable. And you and I, we are the stalwarts. We are the energy, the momentum that stands against that. And we need to start asserting ourselves. We can't just sit back and go, yeah, look at how messed up everything is and how people are. There's so much beauty. You guys are missing it. No, we need to get them to experience it. That's why our mission to practice solidly and influence others is so vital in this age. Shakyamuni wrote about it, or spoke about it, sorry. But Nichiren certainly wrote about it. So here we go. We're going to start the second chapter, Expedience, within our continued reading of the Opening of the Eyes, Gosho. And we're going to get into the 3,000 realms again, but in a different way, because I really, really want to make this critical point with you. In the Expedient Means chapter, in the theoretical section of the Lotus Sutra, this is Nichiren now, makes up for one of the two faults of the pre-Lotus Sutras by revealing the teachings of the 3,000 existences contained in one thought, and obtaining Buddhahood by the two vehicles. These, you have to understand that these are the straw men that are set up in Buddhism. The 3,000 realms, as we'll discuss, describe a way of being in the world, of seeing the universe, the world, your life, all life, from an entirely new perspective to what, until the Lotus Sutra and the 3,000 realms is actually taught, is a very personal identification of practice. And see, that ultimately is still in the way. That's still ego. That's still self. That's still an I. That's still a grabbing, latching on. And now you're grabbing and latching on to teachings. You haven't gotten past that critical point yet. And the 3,000 realms is pointing to that difference. And then the attainment of Buddhahood by the two vehicles hammers on this point again, but from a totally different perspective. It says, man, you've been a great student. You've realized and had a lot of insights and aha moments. But you're still giving yourself a blue flag of first place or a star on your paper. You're still identifying with something that you have accomplished. But listen to that. Listen to that and see how that resonates against Buddhahood is eternal. And we'll get into what eternal means. But Buddhism has always been here. Buddha, reality, which only can take place in the mind because the mind perceives the reality. Buddha isn't something you accomplish. Buddha isn't something that I get a ribbon for, that I made it. Buddha is all of it. It's the universe, the engine of life, the way all phenomena is moving through time. That perception isn't attached to you, me, I, self, ego. It's just there waiting to be experienced. And how is it experienced? Moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. From a perception of 3,000 realms, which is a much bigger number, in every thought moment, standing against a perception of the human realms of the mind attached. It's wonderful to see how everything works. But if you're still admired and attached to it, yes, you've reached some level of understanding, some depth of practice, but you haven't attained Buddhahood. That Buddhahood, what you might call Buddhahood, is a pale reflection of Buddha that isn't fully manifest until you understand the 3,000 realms. So stop being a Shravaka Pratyeka Buddha, because that is actually a wall you set for yourself, and become a bodhisattva who courses through life with a Buddha mind. That's a big shift. And so Nichiren is talking about that big shift. Yet, since the chapter has not yet revealed the original eternal Buddha, the Buddha without time, without, or beginningless time as it's termed, yeah? It's a state, a condition, an engine. We've talked about this. The formations. The formations are ongoing, but they're not aware of themselves. Molecules combining in various ways to manifest potential elements or chemistry or biology and all of that. It doesn't have its own intent. It has energy and momentum and kinetics, and that can look like intent, but intent requires consciousness. And even those consciousnesses have momentum and intent, but that's not will, that's not volition, that's not a decision to, that's just the process at work. That's just what things do. That's what the universe does. See, we externalize all of that. We go, wow, the universe is like a big brain. That's like saying that your computer is intelligent. We call it artificial intelligence for a reason, because we still know that that's not intelligence. It's computation. And computation is fascinating. It can accomplish great things on its own, but it's still computation. Only the mind can transcend computation. Only the mind can perceive of its own processes and evaluate and influence and penetrate those processes. That's a whole different echelon, yes? So, the original and eternal Buddha, by, quote, outgrowing the provisional and revealing the essential, another quote from the sutra. What does that mean? Again, these are English westernized words. We have to decipher what that means. Outgrowing the provisional and revealing the essential. Get away from the formulas and get to the real perception of those formulas at work and everything that they may, can, will produce. How can I influence the formation? Nor does it establish the true meaning of, quote, obtaining Buddhahood by the two vehicles, because the two vehicles cannot attain Buddhahood until they do what? Aspire to this thing we're calling the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. The Bodhisattva who experiences the true Buddha mind. Not the Buddha guy, not the Buddha man, but Buddha-ness, the essential aspect of all life, the universe and all of its processes. I know this is elusive. Words are tough. It's hard to describe this. They're like the reflections of the moon in the water or rootless grass floating on waves. They look pretty. They look amazing. You ever seen the moon reflected on a crystal clear pond? It's almost like you're closer to it, but it's not the moon. In the essential section of the Lotus Sutra, it was revealed that the Buddha, not Shakyamuni, that Buddha-ness, see, this is where the translation will trip you up, that Buddha-ness had attained perfect enlightenment in the eternal past. See, we read that as Shakyamuni had actually attained something in the... Now, see, if you're thinking like a Boy Scout, wow, you got your badge in time without beginning, you're old, right? Because we're still glued to the idea of this self thing. So let me reread that for you in a clearer fashion. What Shakyamuni was saying in the lifespan of the Tathagata chapter is that you guys think me, a human, Siddhartha, became enlightened, Shakyamuni, and I became the Buddha. But that is not so. What happened was me, Siddhartha, Shakyamuni, awakened to this pre-existing condition of the universe, a perceiver, a mind that perceives this timeless clarity of the process of life. Oh, by the way, we call that Buddha. And that which Buddha is part and parcel, of course, of everything within it. Therefore, you, being a karmic product of the manifestations of potential of this process of life also have Buddha, say it that way. You contain Buddha. And it is your mind which can perceive that's truth. It's not your Buddha. It's not my Buddha. It's just Buddha. It's the true life process. It's the witnessing of that process. And the mind is the only witness formed in the universe. Of all the formations, of all the dust particles, of all the stars and universes and galaxies and molecules and particles and photons, your mind is the one that experiences the process. And therefore, your mind can experience the truth of the entirety. By the way, that's called Buddha. And as a samsaric way of understanding what is that Buddha, we can decipher every single moment of our instantiation, our manifestation of energy, as being a collective influenced and influencing source of formations. Formations of various potentials that we're going to say amount to 3,000 realms in every single thought moment. But actually, as I already pointed out, that 3,000 is just a language tool to understand how things add up. But in reality, it's immense. It's as immense as the numbers of every particle in the universe. And we are traveling through that, or rather, that is traveling through us in every single moment. Imagine every single energetic particle in the entire universe traveling through you every single moment. And you're just gleaning, that's me, that's me, that's me. Just little manifestations of all of that. Now you begin. Oh, that's Buddha-ness. That's Buddhahood. Buddhahood is me using that understanding of Buddha and coursing through my, earthly, thingly, physical life with that mind. It's immense. So Nichiren continues. Because he revealed that the Buddha had attained perfect enlightenment in eternal past, in other words, the true nature of what Buddha is, not Shakyamuni, making it untenable to assert that he attained Buddhahood for the first time in this world. He, Shakyamuni, did awaken to that Buddhahood. But for the first time in this world, no, because that Buddha component of what he attained didn't begin with Shakyamuni. The Buddha he attained is from time without beginning, time without end. It is timeless. If something is everywhere, then there is nowhere where something isn't. Time becomes irrelevant. Right? Buddha is just clarity. Clarity. Thus, the eternal Buddha doctrine destroyed the Buddhahood resulting from the four teachings, all the provisional teachings. Do you see? Why? How? As the Buddhahood resulting from the four teachings became untenable, or the four periods before the Lotus Sutra, the way leading to Buddhahood, shown in those four teachings, or those four periods of teachings, proved to be invalid. again, I'll state it again. The real realization of Buddhahood, in the understanding of the timelessness of Buddhahood, is your mind receiving, understanding, experiencing the thingness, the energy in momentum of the formations of all potential in the universe, life energy. To perceive it is Buddhahood. What it is Buddha. It's a condition of the universe, of the production of life and all of its myriad potentials manifesting without a mind. It's simply doing it. It's forming. Your mind is where the hood part comes in Buddhahood. You experience with your mind Buddha-ness, the whole picture. It has nothing to do with you. You are just an apparatus to emerge a consciousness as witness. And that, in the fleeting moment that is your lifetime, is mind-bogglingly impressive, amazing, precious. Look at the life. Look at life. And me, my physical self, just a tripod for this camera, for this video, for this observation. Now you've let go. Now you're seeing, without being a physical thing, you're being Buddha-ness. What an incredible release. What an incredible liberation. So yeah, it destroyed all the earlier ideas of Buddha. The provisional teachings had Buddha as a goal for a person to achieve. But Buddha isn't a goal for a person to achieve. Buddha is an entirely different perception of life. And you could almost say Bob, Ted, Alice, John, Sifu, Sylvain, Muhammad, whatever your name is, that's just a collection of ideation, a bag of participation within this immense universe, Buddha-ness, happening of formations and form. You're a witness. As the Buddhahood resulting from the four teachings became untenable, because those were attached to ego, thingness, the way to leading to Buddhahood shown in those four provisional periods of teachings proved to be invalid. Thus, in the essential section of the Lotus Sutra, the 10 realm doctrine, taught both in pre-Lotus and theoretical sections of the Lotus Sutra, was destroyed. Because the 10 realms are just an observation of our human, right? Even the names we give those realms, they're based on our human mind, our human experience of the world and things. Yeah? It goes far more profoundly. We have to dissect it deeper, right? Where do those realms come from? And the doctrine of causal relationship among the eternal 10 realms was established. Yeah, when they interpenetrated, When we started to understand, oh, all these realms aren't places, they aren't types of thinking, they are potentials. Potentials that interpenetrate, and not just one into the other, but one into the other, into the other, into the other, ad nauseum. As I was saying earlier when we started this video. You don't belong in a world. That's the problem with the earlier teachings. People were left to believe, oh, I was just in the world of animality. I'm glad now I'm in the world of learning and realization. Duh, you didn't get it. There are, let me use a different number, 30 Google billion worlds that you're experiencing, choosing, navigating through, combining, disassembling in every moment, birthday, of what? Life? Of the worlds? No. Of a thought. A thought moment. And here I will remind you again, Buddhism is about the mind, not this. 30,000 realms in a thought moment. Not in a being moment, not in an earthly moment, not in a universal moment. In a thought moment. Buddhism is about the mind. This doctrine of the true cause and true result. In this relationship, the 9 realms are all included in the realm of the eternal Buddha. The eternal Buddha, which is what? Buddha without beginning, without end. The timeless property of the accumulation of energies manifesting in every single potential, eliciting more potentials, manifesting. The process. And our ability, our emerged mind of observation, which consequently allows us to experience those observations, that is what is unique. That is what is Buddhahood. In this relationship, the 9 realms are included in the realm of eternal Buddha, and the realm of the Buddha is in each of the 9 realms. Again, this interpenetrating, get the multiplication here, the exponentiality of this. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not a 1-to-2 ratio. It's not a 2-to-40 ratio. It's an infinite exponential potential. You can't conceive of the limit, because it's constantly creating itself. This is truly the mutually possessed characteristic of the 10 realms. The 100 realms, the 1,000 aspects of existence for each combinatory formula of realms, and the 3,000 existences contained in one thought. In other words, all of these things roiling and vying for attention or supremacy or whatever you want to call it, for instantiating whatever momentum each vies for expression. Right? In every single thought moment. And I've been asked, what's a moment? Well, how long does it take a photon to do anything? Right? 300,000 kilometers per second, a photon. So what does it do in an angstrom? A Planck second. A Planck, not a second, but a Planck time period. What's it doing? How long does that take? It's impossible. to understand how minute that is. And yet that's what we're doing, moment to moment, moment to moment. The numbers get unwieldy, unfathomable. But that's the point. If you want to have any hope of having a grasp of the grandeur of life, you need to start backing off and getting this immense picture in your own mind. Because that, just by virtue of the weight of that immensity, our attitudes become laughable. They're not laughable, completely unnecessary. They just don't play in that yard. Right? Seen in this light, Vairocana Buddha on the Lotus platform and the various Buddhas around him who came from all over the universe as described in the Flower Garland Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha of the Hinayana Agama Sutras, as well as the provisional Buddhas of all the pre-Lotus Sutra, such as Gosho, Wisdom Sutra, Sutra of Golden Splendor, Pure Land Sutra, and the Great Sun Buddha, are all mere manifestations of this eternal Buddha. Yes! Do you get that now? All these stories leading up to the Lotus are describing different potential manifestations of awakening, enlightenment, the different paths, the different accomplishments of us. But all of them, all of those stories, all of those wonderful, amazing insights and enlightenments, they're just one more potential manifest within the entirety of Buddha-ness. They're just component parts, just like you are and me. They're minds. Buddhism is about the mind. You're going to get sick of me hearing it, saying it. Great Sun Buddha, that's a mind. Not the whole thing, just the mind. Perceiving a portion of it. But the Buddhahood of the Lotus Sutra is the Big Daddy. The Buddha-ness without beginning or end. The process itself of life in the universe. And our ability with a mind to perceive it. They are like shadows of the moon in the sky reflected in large or small containers of water. Sectarian students, confused with doctrines of their own schools, or not knowing the 16th chapter of the Lotus Sutra, the duration of the life of the Tathagata, mistake the moon and the water for the real one. Are we not unraveling the words here to understand what that actually means? They try to go into the water to grasp this illusion or tie it up with a rope. In Tendai's words, quote, they look at only the moon in the pond without knowing the moon in the sky. Understand what that means. What are you doing if you're trying to tie up the moon reflection in the water with a rope? Do you see the identification of thingifying there? Do you see that I, Bruce of Avalon, will enter the water with my rope and I will possess this moon for myself? That's the problem. That's what he's talking about here. He wants his first place ribbon. Bruce does. But Bruce needs to look to the heavens, get himself a celestron telescope or whatever, and peer at the actual moon and begin to understand that Bruce is Just this tiny manifestation of potential with a mind that can witness, something well beyond Bruce's rope, well beyond Bruce. So immense that Bruce has to question his own adherence to his Bruce-ness. Do you see? I, Nichiren, believe that even with the doctrine of the obtaining of Buddhahood by the two vehicles, the pre-Lotus Sutras seem to have the upper hand. Concerning the doctrine of attaining enlightenment in the eternal past, expounded in the essential section of the Lotus Sutra, the pre-Lotus Sutras, which maintain that Shakyamuni attainment of Buddhahood occurred in this world. In other words, Nichiren's saying, I see how attractive that is. It's like going to the store. I'm going to go pick up my Buddhahood. Yeah, that's attractive because that's what we're attached to. We're attached to this thingifying of everything and ownership. Get me some of that. Caviar tastes like crap, but get me some of that so I can show everyone caviar that I own. Yeah? Those thoughts, those ideas of possession, they're incomparably stronger, is what Nichiren is saying. I get it. I get it. That's why it's so difficult to practice this ultimate teaching. That's why it's so difficult to teach it, to grasp it. Because it's so immense. It's like there should have been, I don't know, another 100 years of Shakyamuni's teachings from the pre-Lotus Sutra teachings inserted between Perfection of Wisdom to the Lotus, just to take it step by step to get it. Don't just leap to the Lotus Sutra. My goodness, how the heck can we grasp this? This is what Nichiren is saying. No wonder it's so difficult to believe. No wonder it's so difficult to practice. Because it's so difficult to understand. And yet, it's quite clear if you spend time with it, if you really dig for the meaning in the words and don't just stop at the words. Oh, brilliant. I love that tree thing, right? Understand, look deeper. What is he trying to say here? That's what we're doing right now. For not only are they stronger, the first 14 chapters of the Lotus Sutra too solely side with them and do not mention the eternal life of the Buddha, right? Even in the Lotus, Shakyamuni is still talking as Buddha in the first person. He hasn't truly broken that attachment for his students, but he's going to. He's prepping them. With the exception of the 15th and 16th chapters, the appearance of the Bodhisattvas from underground and the duration of the life of the Tathagata, the first 14 chapters of the Lotus Sutra all describe Shakyamuni's attainment of Buddhahood for the first time in this world. That's confusing, because that would seem to say that Shakyamuni is Buddha and he only became so in this life. That's just the problem of language. Do you follow me here? And I don't want to attack everyone who ever translated from Japanese, ancient Japanese, Chinese, stylized script to try to make this palatable for an English-speaking world. Although therein lies a huge problem. But this problem goes all the way back to the time of Shakyamuni. Ask yourself, why would he teach for 8 years, 10 years, 15, 16 years, the same sermon, the same song? I don't care what your favorite song is right now. If you know every word and tune of it, and you could sing it in your sleep. In 20 years, you're going to be damn well sick of it, aren't you? You're going to have a new song to sing. So think about that. Why would Shakyamuni teach that way? In the 40-facet Nirvana Sutra, Shakyamuni's last teaching, under the twin sala trees, as well as in various Mahayana sutras preached before and after the Lotus Sutra, not a single word is said of the eternal Buddha, of Buddha-ness, of the engine of life, this universe. Although the Dharma body of the Buddha has been explained to be without beginning and without end, clue. The Dharma body, right? Dharma. People get confused by that word all the time. Because Dharma tries to encapsulate your aha moments, all of your insights from self-teaching to do what? What is the goal of Dharma? Dharma is simply the experience itself. All the words around it are just decoration, they're all fingers pointing to this experience of Buddha-ness. But if you don't understand 3,000 realms, if you don't understand the nature of energy and formation and momentum and your place within it, then that Dharma is going to be reduced to teachings or a blue ribbon for attaining Buddhahood. You're going to miss it. You see? The eternity of the Buddha in Buddha lands, the reward body, see the manifestations, the thingness, or in this world an accommodative body has not been revealed. That this apparatus, that I call it, this accommodative body, exists only for one purpose: to instantiate a mind. A mind for what? For being rewarded, for perceiving the absolute truth of Buddha-ness, the Dharma. How can anyone side with only the 2 chapters of the Lotus Sutra and discard the wide range of Mahayana sutras, pre-Lotus, most of the Lotus, and Nirvana? He recognizes there's this huge scholarship of Buddhism, and you can happily, merrily go along looking for your blue ribbon and miss it. Because there's so much talk about it if you don't fundamentally understand where this started to begin with. Once you really start to grasp, and I don't mean grasp fully, once you start to grasp the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment, what that number of 3,000 is a ridiculously small number, but the idea, the energy, the manifestation, the insight. You can go back and read the Flower Garland Sutra or the Gosho teachings or the Virmala Kirti and so on and so forth, and you won't miss it. You'll see it throughout. But it isn't identified specifically until the lifespan of the Tathagata chapter in the Lotus Sutra. Therefore, easy to miss. Don't need to know it until you know it. Now, the Gosho sect of Buddhism originated with Bodhisattva Sangha, a great commentator appearing in India 900 years after the extinction of Shakyamuni. He says here, death of Buddha. Buddha is timeless, time without beginning or end. It doesn't die. It's never born. It's the process. So again, this is terrible translation. My nose. Sorry. So you understand the translations. Very misleading. 900 years after the death of the Buddha, then what the hell are we here for? Buddha died, so what are you trying to do? It's so bad. I tell you what it means. It's obvious. 900 years after the death of Shakyamuni, Siddhartha, not Buddha. You get that, right? At night, he went up to the inner palace of the Bodhisattva Maitreya in the Tushita heaven and asked him questions concerning all the teachings of the Buddha's lifetime. During the day, he spread the Hoso doctrine in the state of Ayodhya. His disciples included such great commentators as Vasubandhu, Dharmapala, Ananda, and Silabhadra. Even King Harsavardhana. I swear they're trying to trip up a tongue. Bowed before him, and all the people in India pulled down their banners and followed him. Tripitaka Master Xuanchang of China spent 17 years in India, visiting some 130 states and studying Buddhism. Rejecting all other schools, he chose the Hoso sect to transmit it to China, and passed it on to the sage king, Emperor Dangzong of Dang. He had such disciples as Shenfang, Xiaxiang, Pu Kuang, and Kui Chi, and he resided at the great Su'en Temple, spreading the teaching in more than 360 states in China. I mean, this is laudable behavior, isn't it? This is pretty incredible. Okay, I'm going on and on. I'm going to wrap it up here. In Japan, during the reign of Emperor Kotoku, the 37th ruler, such as monks as Doji and Gosho transmitted this school from China and practiced it at the Kofukuji temple at Yamashina. Thus, this sect must have been the prime school of Buddhism in the three countries of India, China, and Japan. The gist of this Hoso is as follows. And because this is getting lengthy here, we're going to save that for the next video. Sorry. But kind of excited to see. I haven't heard Nichiren talk this way about other sects, certainly, prior to this opening of the eyes. So it's a very compassionate turn for Nichiren to demonstrate to his audience, the audience certainly for this book that he's written, compassion for all of these other schools. Normally, he just tears them apart, shows all their errors, explains why they're useless. They actually stand in the way of attaining Buddha-ness. But in this chapter, he's going, I get it. I get it why so many people have been followers of these schools. He doesn't say they've been duped. He doesn't say they've been misled. He just says, I understand. There's a tremendous tradition, right? Inculcated belief, cultural bias that keeps these things viable for the society. I'm sure at some point he's going to come out and say, but, yeah. But let's see how he does that. Maybe we'll learn something. Maybe it's something we can use when we discuss Buddhism with others, yeah? In the meantime, I'm so proud and grateful for you guys and your practice. Thank you. The whole reason this channel exists is for this, for you guys to participate in this dialogue, to keep your practice strong, to see ever deeper into the nature of life, your life, life in general, life of all. And with that life condition that's so immense, just radiate that life condition. And others will wonder what the hell you're doing. They will want They will come to you. What is that? What are you talking about? I'm Buddhist. Well, yeah, okay, I hear about it. Have you been to the temple and so and so? So, no, Buddhism isn't architecture. These other sects at school, oh, the minute you say that, they get scared because, oh, now I'm going to look stupid. So don't talk about that. Just, if you're curious, come over, chant for a few minutes and see if you feel something. What do you think about it? We can talk about it some more. I know this teacher on YouTube. He talks about I'll send you a video of your own choosing that will appeal to that beginner. Use your wisdom, right? Point him to the threefoldlotus.com site. Yeah? Or the bookstore. It depends. You know your friends better than I do, right? Make a judgment. Chant about it so you can, with wisdom, recommend. Don't take the entirety of Buddhism on your own shoulders. It's not up to you to create Buddha in someone else. No matter how hard you try, you won't succeed. Buddhism is a self-realization. We manifest our Buddha mind all on our own. And we all need something different at different moments in time to keep us on the path. That's why Buddhism is so perfect. This is what Shakyamuni sought to find from the get-go. This will work for anyone because anyone is an individual with their own parameters for understanding what life is. We can't dissect that in people. All we can see is their need. That's Buddhist compassion. We can see, once we see how desperately people are searching for what we see, but we can't tell them how to do it. We can just help them. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to download the podcast, oral podcast, if that's useful for you. Again, that chart that I put up on the 3,000 realms, you can go to threefoldlotus.com, go to the core study materials page, and click on the 3,000 realms, and you can download that. I think it's a PNG image. You can print it out. You can do whatever you like with it so that you can have it as a reference to study with. Right? It's all free, so please use it. And in the meantime, I will prepare for the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of your health. Be kind to yourself. And I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye for now.